I had to get a few more notes going on this morning. Get my coffee. Anyway, top for today is the Empire State Building was built in a year, right? This is pretty impressive, right? And the question ultimately is like, how, why, like, how the heck were they able to build this massive structure in 1 year, right? So they started this thing in the 30s. Like I wrote down a bunch, so I was thinking about the stuff today. They started this thing in the 30s, right? They started it, I wrote down March 17, 1930. They had it done May the next year in 1931, right? So massive structure. And the reason, honestly, is what plagues us today. Like it's all the regulation, it's all the permitting, it's all of the people that don't actually know how to make anything, writing all the laws and the rules and all this kind of stuff. And it's we've just changed, right? We went from a society that makes things to a society that does a lot of thinking and provides services, right? So that's what we're going to talk about today, and we're going to apply that to manufacturing and furniture making today, right? We'll talk about the paint business for a minute, all these kind of things. So anyway, it'd be a good discussion. If you're in here, hit the like button. And add to the conversation. Let me know where you're at. Let me know what you do. And we're going to talk about this today because this is a big problem with what is plaguing our country today. And there's a lot of other ancillary issues that contribute to this. And that's what I want to talk about. So my name is Eric Wilkin. I own the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. And I'm just going to talk about manufacturing. I talk about making furniture. I talk about painting furniture. I talk about starting a small business, operating a small business, because that's what I want people to do. I think we need more people doing their own thing, and I think our society is moving in that direction. And the point of this content is just to help people with that, right? I want people to know that you can do this. I grew up in Corvallis, Oregon, little town south of Portland, and never graduated high school, didn't go to college, didn't do anything, and managed to figure out how to have my own business, have my own company, and get this thing going. And I think more people can do this. And this is just, again, it's just a voice for people. Like I said, people are going to agree with me on everything, and that's cool, but I want people to know that you can't do this. And we're going to talk about the reasons that our society is kind of moving the way that it is, and how we can kind of push back against it a little bit and start our own companies, right? Make our own things and do some of the things we want to do, as citizens and people that, you notice our society is getting a little bit tired of working. Like you hear a lot of people, they're not happy with their work. They're not getting the fulfillment they want to have. It's just kind of a paycheck. And I think we can fix that. I really do. But we got to kind of look at all the reasons that things are the way they are today, just kind of make more people aware of why it's so difficult to start a business, why it's so difficult to make money today, why it's so difficult to do the things that everyone says they want to do. There's a reason for it. And talking about the Empire State Building is a great way to do it. So anyway, I see we got people coming in. So again, guys, hit the like and add to the discussion. Let me know where you're at and contribute to the conversation if you can, because I think that anyone can have a business. Anyone can make things. You can start things in your garage. You can start painting in your garage. We started our company literally in a tiny one-car garage and the house. We had a bi-level home, painting shit in the garage and literally putting it in the house to dry. Like the whole house smelled like lacquer paint, and it's you can do this stuff, but it is really tough. Okay, so we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about the Empire State Building for a second, and then we're going to talk about why we're at where we are today. Okay, so the Empire State Building was built in the 30s, and it literally took 1 year to make, 410 days. Okay, now people almost can't believe that, right? Because of where we're at today. The idea that you could make a structure that's that tall, I think it's like 1,200 feet tall. It's pretty impressive. There's a lot of iconic photos of people building the Empire State Building. You see the iron workers walking on the I-beams, right, as they're building that thing up. There's a lot of really, like I said, iconic photographs of that time because it was a wild time. You're talking Great Depression, right? So there was a lot of emphasis on getting people to work, right? There's a lot of public works projects. There was a lot of incentive to make stuff because people needed things to do. And so they kind of massaged things a little bit in order to get people making things. And when I was reading up on the Empire State Building specifically, that was one of the things they kind of emphasized. Like it was a little bit of a crazy time. So they were able to do things that they might not be able to do in normal situations. But again, it's possible, right? So we're going to talk about that. So we've got someone coming in here, Gabe Onquist. Okay, I remember you. Okay, I'm trying to get popular. I don't know what you're saying. I don't know if that's a diss, that's fine. I'm not trying to get popular. I work all the time. I'm here on Saturday. This is my, I don't know, probably 14th day in a row working. And that's what I do. Business owners work a lot, right? And this is part of what we have going on today is we got a lot of people that love to talk shit on people that work really hard. It's almost like people have almost tried to denigrate what they call hustle culture and these kind of things. And that's completely different. Like I'm not talking about, get a side hustle, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about if you want to make furniture, you can make furniture and you can start all this stuff from home. You can do it. You don't need to be super intelligent. Like it doesn't require necessarily a ton of, expert, things and knowledge and advice. A lot of it takes a lot of perseverance and kind of waiting for those opportunities to present themselves. And they will present themselves, but it takes a lot of time. More comments coming in. Hi, bro. Sup? Yep. Good morning, everyone. This is Alariza. Can't pronounce that last name. Let me know where you guys are at. The World on Standby is the name. Great name, by the way. Looks like got the Eiffel Tower there. Appreciate everyone coming to hit the like button. Again, Eric Wilkin, owner of Splendid Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a furniture manufacturing company. We also paint furniture and we send it all over America. I've sent my furniture to the Bahamas, to the Netherlands, Switzerland. I've sent a lot of stuff places. I import hardware from India. I design it all and I work with the manufacturing outfits in India. So I know a little bit about tariffs and importing and stuff like that. But anyway, I feel like this is a good source of information for people. I'm not some, guy on YouTube that just has some processed, edited, here's the facts, blah, 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 blah. Like this is just information, and I'm just trying to talk to people and let them know kind of what's going on. So back to the Empire State Building, and then we'll dig through some more comments. We got more people coming in. I appreciate everybody coming in. Hit that like button, and we're gonna grow this thing. Talk about business and talk about real world making shit. So anyway, Empire State Building. So it was built literally in a year, and they were able to do this with having a ton of people that were basically iron workers and people put this together. And this was not just like 1 year to get it built. This was 1 year till the day it opened, right? Which is super impressive. It is amazing. If you look at that building, it's still there today. If you ever make it to New York, it's a beautiful building. It's maintained, and it's an icon of what we were able to do, almost 100 years ago at this point. And we can't replicate that today. Like we really struggle with that. Okay, and I wrote down a couple of things. I think at this point, everyone knows about that California high-speed rail project. And I know it's kind of the redheaded stepchild of all this kind of stuff, but it emphasizes exactly what the problem with America is today. It's all these people thinking and talking about a project rather than doing something, right? And the idea that you can make a mistake or that, someone might get hurt on the job, like all these things prohibit progress. And that's where we're at today. And that's the thing about regulations. If, people like to talk back at that Elon Musk guy, but he talks about regulations just crushing and slowing down everything. And I think that's a real problem, right? So back in the 1930s, they were able to do this stuff, okay? And the other thing I'm gonna talk about in a minute is the Code of Federal Regulations. This is the amount of regulations that we have in America that dictates how businesses operate, right? And a lot of people aren't really aware of how this thing works, but it basically dictates everything that you do, right? So as a furniture maker, if I want to open up a furniture factory, right, I have to make sure that all of my machines, my lighting, electrical, all of my structural walls, all this stuff, my roof, everything is complying with the Code of Federal Regulations pursuant to that particular industry, right? Or that particular chapter of the code. So it's very crazy, like fire codes, all these kind of things, which, some of the stuff has value. I'm not gonna say it doesn't, but here's a stat, okay? Pay attention to this number real quick. In 1950, there were 9,300 pages in the Code of Federal Regulations, okay? Which is a ton. That is a ton of pages, okay? Today, as of 2020 is when the stat goes, there's 87,000 pages. Right? 87,000 pages, okay? Now, how the hell can you create that many more regulations? How is it even possible? Are our buildings that much more dangerous to build? Are our buildings that much more better than the Empire State Building that was built in 1930? I mean, is it really that much better? It's like, I don't think that it is, right? Is the work that a furniture maker does today more dangerous than what the furniture maker did in 1930? I mean, some would say, well, it's much safer now, right? But that safety has caused every aspect of furniture making to get more expensive, right? It's caused every tool to be more expensive. It's caused the innovation on tools to get more expensive, right? It's just, it's a rolling thing. It's a rolling wet blanket on top of innovation and creativity and people like you and I, just normal people starting a company. Like, these regulations are a big deal. I actually got, here, a quick anecdote. I actually got shut down when I first got into this building, okay? Like, my business got closed, okay? And you're saying, well, how's that happen, right? You're making money, you're doing good, you're employing people. A city worker came in here and saw that we were spraying lacquer, because remember, I told you I started this I should say my wife actually started this in a one-car garage, right? So then you finally get into a space, right? You're making a makeshift kind of a booth, and you're just trying to make it work, right? Because it's too big for your house, it smells, it's stinky, everything's got paint all over it. You get out, finally got a little an extra space to work, and you're doing what you did at home. You're kind of got a makeshift situation until you can get enough cash to come in to kind of grow this thing. City came in, shut it down. You know, and here's the thing: when the city comes in and they shut you down, right? Which there's reason for that. I'm not saying there's no reason for that, but the thing is that when you say, okay, well, yeah, I'm sorry I did this. I got people that need paychecks, right? Like, we got to keep turning this stuff over. We got to keep making money. They don't care. They don't care, okay? And then when you say the other thing, which is the most logical question, okay, well, what did I do wrong? They'll hit you up with the regulation that you got wrong. And you say, well, how do I correct this? And they're going to say, it's not my problem. And that's exactly what they said, right? And this is one of the problems with what goes on with all these regulations. They'll absolutely tell you what you did wrong, and they'll tell you that you need to fix it in X amount of days. You're going to pay this fine. You can abate it by fixing it, and then you'll pay less fine. They'll tell you all that kind of stuff. But when you say, well, how do I fix this? No answers, right? So again, they make it more difficult to actually do this business thing, okay? So, all right, so we talked about the Empire State Building, which is one side, building a 1,200-foot structure in a year. And then we talked about the California high-speed rail thing, right? They literally need to create a 170-mile rail system, which we already know how to do quite well here. It's at a cost of about $15 billion at this point, and they don't have it completed. It's been going on for 20 years. 20 years, okay? So this is kind of the thing. So you guys kind of see the picture that I'm painting. There's kind of where we were, and there's where we are now, okay? So go through the comments here real quick. Got people coming in. I appreciate everyone being here. I know I don't know what the hell people are doing on Saturday morning. Let's see, Sir Fernando, the Fondue King. Nice, love to see it, man. We've been thunderstruck. Nice. Who do you from Arkansas? So, no, I'm not from Arkansas, but I live in St. Louis, Missouri, and I was in Kansas for a long time. And my parents keep a boat on Table Rock Lake, so we go down to Table Rock Lake from time to time, and go water skiing or whatever. But don't do it as much because I'm always working now. But when I was younger, it was something we did all the time. Man, Arkansas, holy shit! Arkansas is one of the most beautiful states in the country. I remember growing up. I grew up on the West Coast, and we always kind of think of what we call flyover country as a bunch of shithole states. And truth is that Arkansas might be just the most beautiful state in kind of the Midwest, or I mean, some people consider Arkansas to be part of the South, but yeah, beautiful freaking state. So, but no, I'm in St. Louis. I've moved all over America. I started in Oregon. I went to Kansas. From Kansas, I went to Oklahoma. From Oklahoma, I went to Georgia. And from Georgia, I came up to St. Louis, right? And now my home is actually on the Mississippi River in Illinois, technically speaking. So it's right there on the border there in Godfrey, Illinois. So anyway, good to have you guys. Hit the like button. And yes, I know I need a freaking haircut. You sound like my wife. Is this my wife on here? Yeah, I need a haircut. I need to shave. I hear it all the time. But the truth is, I'm always at work. I'm always racing to work. I come home late, and what am I going to do? There's only so many hours in the day to do stuff. So anyway, all right. So the high-speed rail side on the California side is just this is the exact opposite, right? There's so many regulations and there's so many barriers to forward progress. It's impossible to do anything today, especially like big things. It's just there's too many people that have a say, right? There's too many people that can say, "Oh no, you can't do that." Right? Meanwhile, the person that started the project, he can't say to that person, well, go F yourself. I'm moving forward. I'm not waiting for you. I'm done waiting for you. We're moving this project forward. There's nobody that can do that. So it's just a complete shit show, So you have that whole high-speed rail thing, and it just destroyed things, okay? So that's on like the big major project side of things, all right? talk about on a lower, like let's come down a level to like a house, right? The basic house, okay? So my dad used to build homes for a long time. And funny thing, I was talking to my dad last night, and that reminds me, I gotta shout out my Aunt Diane. Apparently my Aunt Diane follows me on YouTube, which is great. A lot of people follow me on YouTube. But I'm glad that some of the family does. Very different mindsets on the West Coast, and as I've moved around the country, I have more of a well-rounded kind of mindset about life, and so a lot of people in the West Coast do not agree with me, which is fine. But I am from there, and then Diane, if you're watching this, I really appreciate you watching. And if you want any videos about making things, let me know. I'll make you something. I'll send it out there to your home if you'd like. I'll do a video about it. And anyway, that's one of the cool things about being a business owner is we can do that kind of stuff. Anyway, so making houses, all right? So making houses is something that we do today. My wife is in the housing industry, right? She sells homes, okay, which is a fantastic business. Even now, it's a fantastic business. But the time to produce a home today, okay? So if you work for the company McBride Homes, biggest builder in Missouri, right? So it takes them on average 12 to 15 months to build what we kind of say is the average size home, which really is, I think it's come down to like 1,500 or 1,600 square feet. It's not as big as it used to be. So that's the turnaround, 12 to 15 months, which is kind of wild. My dad used to build homes in the 70s, and people will immediately say, oh, homes were smaller back then, okay? Took him 6 months, and it was him and his buddy Alan, and they would make homes. And yeah, they had help, but they didn't have nearly the access to people that they have now. There weren't as many people doing that kind of work, so they actually had a smaller crew, got the homes done faster, and the homes were higher quality, right? And the homes were cheaper. Everything about it was good. My dad made a good middle-class living, and he could build a home, and I'm not exactly sure why that is, but the materials haven't gotten better. The fabricators haven't necessarily gotten better. Nothing's gotten cheaper. Right, so I don't know what's going on there. So we're leading into it though. I have an idea. So we're getting to that point of the discussion. So that's kind of what's happened with houses. Okay, I took some notes here. Right, so we want to look at different levels of home. Okay, let's look at different levels of home. Okay, here when I grok it or I Google it, they say that the average production home takes 6 to 7 months. All right, and this is what's on Google, okay? The custom homes take 8 to 9 months, right? That's your bigger homes and your, individual architectural plans, not just a straight production style home. And then your owner-built homes, okay? Owner-built homes, they actually took the time to put this in there, okay? This is a thing, and this is one of the things that I think is really hosing our country today. Turns out, people can build their own home. Like, there used to be a time when that was a thing, right? But here's the thing. If you outsource all of the manufacturing work and the building work to third world countries, you replace all those people with thinkers, right? Which thinkers are important. But you end up with so many thinkers and consumers of stuff whose jobs don't apply to what they do when they come home, right? The rest of their life, they can't do much. Okay, which I think is a humongous problem. It used to be we could build homes all the time. You literally, Sears and Roebuck used to have a catalog full of homes, and you could just order a home. The entire home would come to your site, right, your home site, on a train, and then it would literally, you could frame it up. You could hire somebody to frame up your house. I mean, you're talking toilets, light fixtures, all that shit would come in a package, and you could literally build your own home. We don't do that today. We can't do that today. It is freaking impossible to build your own home today because no one knows how to do anything. Or if they do know how to do something, it's so specialized that they have to hire everybody else to do everything, which is how you become a service-based economy. So anyway, the service-based economy thing is nice if you're rich, but if you can't afford anything and then all your jobs are outsourced and the knowledge leaves the country, no one can afford anything anymore because the money goes to all the people that can leverage, right? Which I did a video on leveraging. Most people not only don't understand leverage, but don't want to deal with leveraging things. It's ridiculous. Like, who's got time for that shit, right? So it makes everything more expensive. More of the money goes to the people that can do that, and less of the money goes to people doing the work, right? So again, my dad was able to build homes in the 70s and made a fine living. Average middle class guy. Can't do that today. It's very difficult for anybody. And I know this because, again, my wife's in the housing industry, and we have a pretty good idea what all these people make. And it's barely middle-class wages. Yet the homes are 2 to 3 times more expensive, and they're smaller with less quality materials. So how does that happen, right? How does that work? And then I got something on that, so we're going to talk about that today as well. So yeah, it's kind of wild times, and I wanted to point all this stuff out. Again, Empire State Building was built in a year. In a year, okay? You can't even build. We have home builders today, large home builders today, can't even build a home in a year. One single family dwelling in a year. Okay, so the reason for a lot of that, unfortunately, is regulations. It's permitting. It's not enough people being able to work with their hands. Too many people thinking about building homes, not enough people building homes. And again, knowing the housing market and how this works, right? It's a big problem. You got too much top level stuff, not enough lower level stuff, right? And same thing with our colleges. The colleges, administrators through the ass, right? Professors, not so much. And it's, super nice campuses. Degrees aren't worth very much anymore, especially after you give out, 10 or 12 million of them. They're all basically the same. Everyone knows the same stuff, does the same thing. It's not worth very much, So yeah, we got a lot of things we got to work on, but we're going to talk about all this stuff. Like I said, I got lots of notes pertaining to this, and it all starts with, again, this Empire State Building being built in a year by a bunch of people that had no jobs because they had the Great Depression going on. Okay, so we'll talk about how that comes into business, right? How that applies to the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. All right, so more notes. Let's get some. Let's look at my comments here. Okay, so it looks like I'm pretty much caught up for the most part. Okay, good. Again, hit the like button, guys. Add to the discussion. Like I said, let me know where you're at. Tell me what it is you do. Do you have a reason? Am I going in the right direction? Am I way off base? Like what's going on here? So we need to understand that. So quick side tangent, if anyone is paying attention to this. So everyone's freaking out about the stock market right now, right? Tariffs, all these kind of things. What you guys would need to pay attention to is not the stock market, all right? And it's not the tariffs, okay? I've done tons of videos about tariffs, okay? I bring in stuff from India, right? So tariffs are not a problem. The problem is what the market is saying you have to charge for things. It's not what I have to pay for them. Even if you tariff at 50, 100%, it's not a big deal, okay? It's what the market dictates the consumer should pay for something. So it's kind of a tricky thing. But what everyone needs to be looking at is the 10-year bond yield. Google it. Warren Buffett's talked about it. This is what dictates the rate that you pay for a house, that you pay for a car, that the 30% interest rate on your credit card is 30%. When that yield starts to come down, right? So it used to be at 6%. It's all the way down to almost 3%. I think it's still 4.002%. It's almost down to 3%, right? Which is going to help everybody, not just the people that own stocks, right? So people need to kind of understand that this whole threat of the stock market's crashing, the world's falling apart, it's kind of bullshit, right? There's a lot of people losing money, but trust me, it's not you, all right? And again, if you can start a company, if you can make something on your own, you're going to be in okay shape. Like, you're going to make extra money, and maybe you can parlay that thing into becoming a business, right? Which is what we're going to talk about next, okay? So I wrote down a bunch of large companies, and I wrote down the CEOs of all these companies to paint a picture of why everything in America right now is so expensive, right? Why furniture is so expensive, why dishes are so expensive, why cars are so expensive, okay? I'm gonna paint you a picture of what's going on and why we need more business owners. We need more people like you watching this stream to get in your garage and make something, right? Learn about advertising, learn about making websites, learn about, video, learn about blogs, learn about all this content creation so that you can create a brand and a company so that you can sell something to another person in America, right? That's why I do all this stuff, right? I do it because it's worked for my company and I know it can work for you, and it doesn't take money. I mean, yes, there is money, obviously, and yes, it does take a garage, right? So if you don't have a garage, I'm sorry, don't have the answers, right? And if you have $0 and no money, right, you do have time. And time is the thing that people that don't have a lot of money generally have, for the most part. Not no. I know there's tons of people that just work all the time and they have no money. I get it. But truth is that you can do all this stuff and you can kind of come out in the end, right? Because what's getting ready to happen, I think, is that more people are going to start companies. More people are going to start making stuff here in America to sell to other Americans, right? And this is a great thing. And maybe you'll be able to sell the stuff overseas, right? If you can get these other countries to let shit into their countries from America, you may have an opportunity to sell something. But truth is that a lot of countries don't want American stuff over there, because the truth is that, and I know this because, again, my wife's from India, okay, and it's not like she, was born and raised here in America, right? No, she's from freaking India. She spent half her life in India. And we talk about these kind of things all the time. There are no American goods in India because they're always protecting their industries, right? So actually, the country India used to be socialist until like I want to say it was like the early 90s. They started kind of opening up to other countries, started kind of letting other things come in a little bit, and that really helped to get more goods into that country. And my wife talks about it, quite a bit. So there are countries that are kind of open up a little bit, and when you do open up, it's really helpful. But the problem with America is that we literally let everybody come in here, and it's okay to let people come into your country and sell goods, but you can't let everybody come in all at once forever, right? And no country does that. We're the only country that does that, right? It's like this whole racism thing, like America's supposedly the most racist country in the world, even though everybody's here, right? But if you talk to people from other countries, you find out every country's super racist. For some reason, America's always the bad country, and I can't wrap my head around that, okay? So back to what I was saying about CEOs, okay? So I'm going to give you some names of some CEOs, and we're going to talk about who these people are, okay? And the reason we're going to talk about this is because what you're going to notice is that none of these people do this, and they never have done this. And again, when you're running a massive corporation, I'm sure you don't want people that work with their hands. I'm sure you want people that are good at crunching numbers and making deals and all these kind of things. I'm not saying that stuff's not a good thing, because it is. I mean, it takes all kinds of people to make the world go round. You need all kinds of skills and so on and so forth. But when your company gets so large that working with your hands becomes invaluable, then you start to get a real problem, right? Because then you get people that just look at numbers. They don't give a shit about the people. All they care about is what is their fiduciary responsibility, right? And if they got to sell your job out to another country so they give their profit to somebody who doesn't even work at that company, that's a real problem. And we got to fix that. And I think some of that's getting ready to change. I think people are starting to kind of see what's going on. So, okay, all right, back to some of these people, okay? Yeah, I literally wrote down notes. Like I sit here and I'm building things today. I'm here in my shop making 2 China cabinets, right? You can go on the resplendentcrow.com and see, Google, Athens Greek key China cabinet, and you'll see it. I'm making 2 of those. They're pretty cool. They're part of my Athens line of furniture, and I probably sell a dozen of them a year, maybe, a dozen of them a year. And anyway, they're pretty easy to make. I think they sell for $7,000-8,000. And I get to make them all. We make it all right here in St. Louis, Missouri. And that's what I do. I talk about making shit and how I'm able to do it as an idiot who moved all over the country. And you can do it too. I know people can. And so anyway, so here's who we're going to talk about today. So we have Williams-Sonoma, right? Now, I'm using Williams-Sonoma very specifically, okay? Williams-Sonoma owns a lot of companies, right? There's a lot of companies that we're all very familiar with. Companies like Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel, C2B2, of course, Williams-Sonoma. And there's several of these companies, and Williams-Sonoma owns a bunch of them. All right, which is great, and people need to buy products, and I'm not knocking the company one bit. The woman that is the CEO is this Laura Alba. Okay, now, no problems with the woman being a CEO, no problems with this woman's background. She probably went to Harvard, but there's no history of making stuff. Okay, this woman has basically it's what you might say is like a picture perfect career path, right? And for a large company, that might be great. But truth is that this company makes all of their shit overseas. I mean, not all of it. I'm being a little bit, I'm generalizing just a little bit, but their case goods, Vietnam, okay? And their couches and stuff like that, some of that stuff's probably made here. All the textiles, of course, come from foreign countries, which we can't do much about that right now. But her resume does not say builder, does not say, oh, I'm passionate about furniture, I'm passionate about homewares. It doesn't say I understand how to make any of this stuff. It does not say any of that. What it says is that I know how to hire people, right? I know how to look at a profit and loss statement. I know what EBITDA is. I know what ROI is. I know all these buzzwords about running a business, but I don't know how to fucking make a thing, right? And again, in and of itself, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But I guarantee the reason most of their stuff is made overseas is because they have to pay people that have their stock, right? They have to pay the people on the boards. Her job is based on growing sales, right? It's growing revenue, growing EBITDA. It's growing all of these things, profit. That's what her job is based on, which, again, there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But if you watch the stock market plunge, 2 days ago, you will see that Williams-Sonoma, Restoration Hardware, all these companies, their stock got crushed. I mean, absolutely. You talk about 25% losses, okay? Because when those tariffs came in place, these companies, their bread and butter is foreign goods. It just is what it is, right? It's foreign goods, right? So these are the people that are running these large companies. They have they have no experience making anything. Okay, which again, like I said, in of itself isn't a bad thing, but it's leading to where our country is right now. Because if you start looking at more and more of these companies, and pick your industry, it doesn't matter. Everybody that runs these corporations and these larger companies has a textbook resume, and it's all, MBA from here, BA from there, this college, that college, this board. It's all these people are all working together. I say this as a capitalist. I say this as a business owner and somebody who thinks that businesses should make as much profit as possible and that business owners should make as much money as possible. I say it, unapologetically, right? It's absolutely how it's supposed to be. But this woman knows nothing about making things, just nothing. She knows how to hire people, which is great. I get it. And that's capitalism, right? So go to the next one. Restoration Hardware. Gary Friedman, right? Restoration Hardware 2 days ago got destroyed when the tariffs kicked in. Destroyed. 100% destroyed. And this guy, again, is a textbook CEO. Harvard, all these kind of things, just literally the classic resume. Never worked in a factory, and again, some people will say, well, he shouldn't have to. It's a large corporation. You don't want those kind of people running corporations, okay? I don't dispute any of that, okay? But I'm getting to the why we need to talk about that, okay? Last person is, this guy's name's Stuart Miller, if I remember correctly. He is the CEO of a company called Lennar, right? Which is one of the largest home builders in America, all right? Good dude. I'm sure he's a fantastic guy. My guess is he's never built a house before. I'm pretty sure this guy's never framed a roof, right? Never done any of that stuff, So again, Harvard, the things that you need to see in a CEO. All these CEOs have the same exact resume, and they have never worked doing the job for the thing with which they sell. Now, I believe the CEO of Ford might be different. I forget his name. But anyway, my point is that these companies, as they get bigger and bigger and bigger, the people that do the work have nothing to do with the trajectory of the company, right? And what inevitably happens is the work gets farmed out overseas because the guy running the company doesn't care about the worker. What he cares about is making money. And again, I say this as a capitalist. Like I hate to say it, but the older I get, the more I see it. Okay, so what am I talking about, right? We start off with the Empire State Building. I'm telling you about CEOs. We've talked about building homes, all these kind of things. What's happening is we need more people starting companies literally in their garages, in their friends' garages, with their parents, working together with their family. We need people starting to make things and start businesses here in America and then grow those companies and resist the urge to sell that company to some corporate conglomerate, right? To sell out the skills that you have that made your company into what it is, right? That went from 1 person to 10 people. You need to resist that urge to sell out to somebody, because your job as an employer and as a small business owner that does a trade or a skill is to teach other people. That is literally your job, right? And when you teach other people and you treat your customers really well, the byproduct is money, right? The byproduct is always going to be money, right? But at the same time, you're teaching somebody how to fish, right? It's easy to just give somebody money. If you just want to be some piece of shit on welfare that, just has kids and collects a check from the taxpayer, like that's one thing. But if you could teach somebody to make money, well, then they could do the same thing in their life later on, right? Maybe they teach their kids how to do what it is that they did, So your job as a business owner, again, teach people things, show people how to do stuff. And today we just don't do that. Corporations today have no interest, right? When I was talking about the CEOs, they all got MBAs, they all went to Harvard. They're all cut from the exact same cloth. And those are the people that they're hiring. They look for people that need to have bachelor's degrees, right? They look for people that have some kind of engineering degree, right? Because the truth is, what an engineer used to be? Used to be you, used to be me. We used to be the engineers. We used to be people that made stuff, and now we don't do that anymore, right? The engineer actually doesn't even make anything anymore. The engineer is using software and CAD programs and doing, structural analysis and all this kind of stuff on a program, as opposed to actually getting out there and working with metal, right? Figuring out what kind of radiuses you can bend on different kinds of steel and aluminum and all these different kinds of different metals, right? Learning about, how you temper metal, how you temper glass, how you do all these things. We have programs that do all that analysis for us now. We don't have to do it. And so what I'm getting at is that we need more people that are making things, that are taking the chance, trying to grow their business and trying to grow what it is they love doing into something that they can then teach somebody else. And if we continue down the path that we're going today, we're not gonna be able to make anything. We're not gonna be able to build nothing. Nothing is gonna move. Because the truth is that a lot of these people at the very top of these large corporations, they don't want anything to move. They want to stay exactly the same, and we can't have that. It's got to move. We got to be able to make things again. And all these regulations that I was talking about, 9,300 pages in 1950 and 87,000 pages today. Okay, you can't tell me that workers are safer today than they were in 1950. I don't believe it. You can't tell me that the work is safer today than it was in 1950. It's not. It's the same work, right? But we've hired all of these graduates and people that go to college and do all these thinking jobs and these knowledge jobs and these service jobs, and we've convinced everyone that safety is paramount. Safety above all else, right? That's why cars cost $50,000 today instead of, $19,000 like they used to. Because all the technology, all the safety standards, all the crash testing, all the stuff that has to do. And if you think I'm crazy, listen to Elon Musk talk about making a car, okay? It's the hardest thing there is to do, right? There's so many things that have to be done in order for you to manufacture an automobile in America. It's almost impossible, right? And then on top of it, when you want to sell that car, go Google Tesla trying to enter into the sales market and sell the Tesla automobile, right? They had to have dealer networks, right? And Elon's like, what the hell am I gonna have a dealer network for? And they're like, well, because all the other companies have a dealer network. He's like, well, I don't want to sell that way. I want to sell online. I don't need to have all this shit. Read about how hard that guy had to fight to get his sales model in place because all the corporations, the auto industry, wanted everything to stay exactly the same. And that's what we have going on today. Right? So no longer can we make the the Empire State Building in 1 year. Like if we tried to make that building today in 1 year, it wouldn't happen. It would be, you wouldn't even be out of the fucking planning stage in a year. Okay? And I know this. I know land developers here in St. Louis. I know developers that have made massive strip malls, right? And the biggest hurdle to everything is the engineering, the architectural plans, the permitting, what they call central planning. All these kind of things just slow everything down to a crawl. I mean, they really do. All the freaking insurance you have to carry to do anything anymore is insane. So how is anybody supposed to start a business today when everyone that's already in business just wants it all to stay the same, right? Imagine if, use Elon. Elon's a perfect example, okay? Starlink. Okay, imagine if Elon, in order to do any kind of communications, he had to do it the way that everybody else has been doing it forever, right? Which is, drilling freaking holes in the ground, running fiber optic cable, doing telephone lines, to run telephone cable all over the place. It's like if he had wanted to do it that way, we'd still be doing things that way, right? But now you got everyone freaking out because Starlink's talking about letting people use cell phones, right? When that happens, oh my God, you think Verizon, T-Mobile, all these companies are going to flip out? Like they're going to try so hard to keep that guy from entering into that space because his product is better, right? Today, you, the person in your garage, probably have an idea for something, and I'll bet your product could be better than what's available right now to everybody. But you're probably going to struggle doing it because the people that are already there don't want you to do it. They don't want you to start a business in your garage. They don't want you to start a paint company in your garage because it challenges everything, right? Everything, they want things to just stay the same, right? And it blows my mind. It blows my mind. I talked to my dad about this stuff, and he can't figure it out either. He gets people asking him all the time to teach him things. He's telling me last night, he gets a couple calls a year. They want him to come and teach welding. They're going to pay him shit tons of money to do it. The stuff that we do, this making things, building things, like this is going to be a super in demand thing, and we got to get started on it. You know, we can't be stifled by all the freaking hoops and hurdles that people make us jump through in order to start companies. You know, an idiot from Oregon starts a company and sells furniture all over America. Okay? That should be the story all over the country. That should be everywhere. That should be the popular story. You know, not some freaking CEO for you know, Restoration Hardware, you know, with his Harvard degree, you know, multi-millionaire, you know, gets to be the CEO of Restoration Hardware. Fuck that guy. You know, that's not the story. It needs to be the guy that came from nothing, and you have a guy here from Arkansas, you know, started building boats in Arkansas, you know, and now he's competing with Sea Ray, right? Now he's talking about putting Palmer Johnson out of business there in Savannah, Georgia. You know, like those are the stories that we need to be talking about. You know, not these, you know, these MBAs, you know, they get to walk into a company where somebody else already did the frickin' work, you know. So anyway, I know I'm going on here. I need to stop this stream. I got like 40 minutes on here, so I'll go through the comments again. And again, if everyone's on here, hit the like button, add to the comments. I appreciate it. Eric Wilkin, I own the Resplendent Crow here in St. Louis, Missouri. Manufacture furniture. We paint furniture. We ship it all over America. Low seven-figure business, nothing special. My wife started the company painting in her garage. I came into the story a little bit later. We grew it into this big facility here in St. Louis, Missouri. Now we manufacture more furniture than we paint vintage furniture. We sell solid brass hardware that we import from India. We work with manufacturers in India to do all this kind of stuff. It's a great business. No education, zero education, just a shit ton of work, a little bit of luck. I've owned 3 businesses. They've all failed. I kept at it. I finally got one going. Anybody on the stream can do it. It can be done. You just have to do it. And the trick is to find something that you do during the day that you can then do at night. You know, and I say it to people all the time, stop working at the convenience store and dreaming about making t-shirts. It doesn't work. Go to work for free for someone that makes a fucking t-shirt and learn how the business works. Like, oh, I don't have the money, okay? Find it. Do anything you can. If you want it that bad, go do it. You know, we let all these kids go to college, take on a shitload of debt, and it's fine if they live at home or they go stay in the dorms, or we even pay for apartments for these people to go to college. Learn something that nobody wants. Nobody is asking for this shit. Nobody. Yet, if you want to be a welder and you want to live at home, you're some kind of loser. Right? And the idea that somebody comes and builds furniture for me, learns for $10 an hour, I'm some piece of shit, right? I'm a piece of shit if I want to pay a kid who's 18 years old, $10 an hour to learn how to make furniture, and he has to live at home, all right? That should be a godsend. I'm giving this kid a paycheck. I'm giving him a fucking paycheck. I'm not asking him to give me $40,000 so I can teach him all year long. He's literally going to the federal government, paying a college to give him a fucking degree that he's not going to be able to use when he gets out of school. I'm giving him a paycheck he can actually use. He'll endear himself to my company, probably learns all kinds of things, and probably have a job for a decade, 2 decades. You know, but we've thrown all that out the window. You know, the average person goes to school today, or excuse me, keeps a job for like 2 or 3 years. Like, are you kidding me? You kidding me? 2 or 3 years? Like, I've never been in a fucking company for less than 10 years, right? Because there's this thing called loyalty, you know, and people don't have it today. They just fucking job hop and job hop and job hop and job hop. And it shit drives me crazy. Absolutely crazy. You know, so we need to quit this, you know, sending everybody to college. It is ruining our country. Ruining our country. You know, college is meant for smart people. It's meant for certain kinds of jobs. It's not meant for everybody. You know why men are so fucked up right now? It's because they all went to school and they're all around a bunch of chicks all the time. You know, men are not supposed to be around women all the time. They're not supposed to be, you know, cute with people in the office, okay? There's not decorum with men. Men are very different. Women are very different, and it's a good thing. But we've tried to kind of make the sexes the same, and it's messing up our culture. Nobody wants to work with their hands. Nobody wants to get dirty. No one wants to hear dirty jokes. No one wants to, I mean, the idea of buying an electric car as a man, that should almost like, that should be like, I need to stop. I'm going too far. I'm glad people are here. Thank you for going to the stream. We got a lot of issues in this country, but you can start a business, okay? No more comments coming in, okay? Hello, sir. This is Daily Folks. Good morning. We're talking about how we're able to build the Empire State Building in 1 year, and we can't even build homes, a single-family home today in 1 year, all right? And why that is, you know. And it's the stream's already going. gone on for a while, and I've been talking about all kinds of things, which I tend to do. But point is that we need people making businesses. We need people trying new things and putting themselves around other people that are doing what it is that they want to do. It's okay when you're young. It's okay when you're young to go to work for somebody making a small wage so that you can learn a valuable skill, right? And parents, people that have kids, need to wrap their heads around this. You do not need to go put your kid in debt $30,000, $40,000 a year so they can go learn a fucking skill that probably won't be there by the time they get out of school, right? All this digital stuff, while it's important, is being replaced. You know, it's being replaced every 3 or 4 years, in case you'll notice, right? I see people going to school for computer science now, and I'm thinking, why? Why are you going to school for computer science? AI is going to replace all that shit, you know. But you know what can't be replaced? When your drain breaks in your house, who fixes it, right? Most people can't fix anything today because they all went to college and they all, you know, work on their computer, you know, sending emails out all day. You tell them to go get a crescent wrench, they don't know what the fuck a crescent wrench is. They have no idea. They have no idea. You know, you get a part that breaks on your car, they're waiting to get their car into a freaking mechanic. When most of the time it's something simple. You know, but if you understand a little bit of mechanical aptitude, you know the stuff, you know. But all you know is, you know, psychology and art history. You know, it's oh, man. Okay, I'm done. I've had enough. Point is, go read on the Empire State Building. Learn how they're able to build that thing so quickly and why we can't do that stuff today. And it's going to be, we're getting there. I think as things start to change here, I think more people are going to want to start businesses. And it's okay to go to work for somebody when you're young and learn some things and don't be afraid. Like, you shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't go to take some bullshit job because your parents tell you to or somebody else tells you to. Go do the thing you want to go do, and make sure it's something that involves you working with your hands, because if it's in the computer space, if it's in the digital space, you're kind of walking a fine line, right? The other thing is sales. Last thing I'll say on this. If you want to get into sales, it's the 80-20 rule, but if you can be the 20% of salespeople, you will make an infinite amount of money. You will make $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 a year, no problem, right? But you got to talk to people, right? You got to be able to have someone say something you don't want to hear, and then turn around and say, well, yeah, can I call you next week? Is that okay? Well, I know you don't like our product, but hey, let me tell you about this after they've told you to go fuck yourself, you know, 3 or 4 times. These things pay really well, you know, but going to college, think about that one quite a bit more. So anyway, everyone have a great day. It's Saturday here building. Talked about earlier, making China cabinets today. And I'll do a video on furniture tomorrow. We'll talk about the design of some piece of furniture. I do that on Sundays. Fridays are what's in the shop. I show everyone all the pretty furniture, what we're painting, what's gone right, what's gone wrong, all the things that I've messed up, other people have messed up, and the joys of being a business owner, you know, what it's really like. Because, yeah, it's a shit show most days. So anyway, everyone have a great weekend. And last comment, do you think you'd ever fall in love with Trump? Do you think you could? I don't know what that has to do with anything. Dakota Miller. Oh, I remember you. Okay. Yeah, no, Trump's, man, I don't know. You know, am I a Trump supporter? Yeah, I guess I'm a Trump supporter, you know, but does Trump have anything to do with me personally, my business and all these kinds of things? No, nothing to do with it. My business was thriving. Here's another thing. Okay, I gotta get off here. Okay. I'm 45 years old. I've been alive under many presidents. Okay. I have thrived under every single president. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's a Democrat or Republican, doesn't matter. Point is if you're really good at what you do, here's the secret. You always have work. No one ever lets go of you. And I know that because I worked in a factory my entire life and I never got laid off. Never, not once. I watched layoffs happen every couple of years. Never happened. Never got my hours cut, never, because the people that are good at what they do always have work. That's how it works, okay? So everyone bitching about, oh, I got laid off multiple times, blah, blah. Truth is you're just not that good at what you do. That's the truth of it. Now, I'm on the other side now. Now I'm the owner of a factory, right? So I'm the person that employs people, okay? And I can tell you that this is all 100% true, right? What happens here is the good employees will be taken care of at any expense, right? When people say, oh, well, there's pay scales, bullshit. I will pay any amount of money I have to. I will give out any amount of benefits I have for my really good tentpole employees. And it's just how it works, right? And people don't like to hear that kind of stuff because they think that everybody is the same. And truth is that you're not. You're not the same. You know, the people that work really hard and provide a ton of value are way more taken care of than the other people. And that's just how it goes, right? So what you need to do if you're one of these people that likes to bitch about, oh, it's this person's fault, that person's fault, it's actually your fault. And what you need to do is you need to cozy up to the people that are really good at what they do, and you need to get their sauce. You know, put your fucking ego away and cozy up to those people. Even if they're a Trump supporter or they're a Obama supporter, doesn't matter what their politics are. Point is they know how to make money, right? They're always there when shit gets hard. They're always there. And that's the real secret sauce. You know, so it doesn't matter who's the president. It changes nothing. All right, exactly. Capitalism is about you. No, it's not. Capitalism is about the employee. And if you were here earlier, you would see I was talking about a lot of that stuff. My job is to teach people how to do stuff so they can then go do it for themselves. That's literally my job. And if I take care of my people, they don't ever leave, right? Which is why most of my employees have been here as long as I have, right? I do have a tranche, we'll say, of employees that get cycled through. And that's every business, right? And it's only people that don't own companies that can't figure this out, right? They think that, you know, they're so virtuous that they think that everybody just deserves a job. No, you're not entitled to a job. You're not entitled to jack shit, right? And that's the reality of life. People just think that it's just supposed to be easy. Oh, I work 40 hours a week. I should make $100,000 a year. It's like, no, you need to pay attention to the people that make the money and go do what they do. Plain and simple, right? So I'm trying to show people that you can have a small business. You know, in my dirty 12,000 square foot facility here, you can employ people. You can make a product like furniture, and you can paint it in a very difficult process, which is high gloss lacquer. You can send it all over the country, and you can do it with zero education, no high school, no college. But guess what? My wife has 2 degrees. How's that work? Right? So you better believe that I take some of her expertise and we apply that stuff, right? That's why I don't do marketing, because I don't have it, right? I don't do sales because I don't have it. But I do know manufacturing because I did it for 20 plus years, right? I do know how to make furniture because I've done it for 25 years at this point, okay? So be careful. You got to kind of know what you're talking about. All right, last thing. Okay, more to go to. Okay, so capitalism and individual and how you set yourself up. Well, there you go. I kind of explained it to you, right? So capitalism starts with you doing something at a very young age. And I said this at the beginning of the stream. You have to do this thing at work, and you have to like it enough to do it after work. And this is the thing that messes up most people. It messes up most people. I think I use the example of people working at a convenience store and then wanting to, in the evening, go and make t-shirts, right? What you want to do is you want to, when you're young, right, when your parent tells you to go to college, but you like making t-shirts, your parent's going to say, well, you need to go to college and learn about marketing, okay? Marketing has nothing to do with fucking t-shirts, okay? There's a million aspects to making t-shirts, right? And you need to go work for a t-shirt maker. That's what you need to go do, right? No, there's no t-shirt makers here in America. Bullshit. There are people that make t-shirts here in America. The people say, we don't do textiles. It's garbage. There's a company called Origin that makes freaking jeans. You got Tecovas Boots that makes boots, okay? You can't tell me there aren't companies that make textiles here in America. I just named 2 of them off the top of my head, right? There are companies that make that shit here in America, okay? But you got to go do it, right? You know, if you're into making furniture, you're 18 years old, right? No 18-year-old is into furniture, but let's say you are. Go find a furniture maker and say, you know what, furniture maker, I'm going to work for nothing. I'm going to work for minimum wage because I want to learn how to make furniture, right? But your parent's going to say to you, no, you need to go to college. No, you're gonna have to work hard like your dad, right? No, losers work with their hands. Like I heard that for 20 years, okay? I've heard it forever. As a young person, you need to go work for that company. You need to go learn that skill, and you need to do it all day, every day. And some people say, well, I don't know what I want to go do. Like, so what? Go try a bunch of things. It doesn't matter. When you're young, you can go try all kinds of things. When you go to college, you don't get to try shit. You really don't. You're stuck. You know, and it's a major problem, guys. You need to do this stuff when you're young. And then as you do it, working for somebody else, and then you do it when you come home, whatever that might be, opportunities present themselves, because different opportunities present yourself at work when you're working for somebody else than the opportunities that are available to you outside of work when you work for somebody else, okay? I can't sell, if I work for, here's a quick example. I'll give you an anecdote, okay? If, when I worked for Westar Aviation in St. Louis, Missouri. Right, I worked for Westar Aviation. I was working on Taylor Swift's jet at one point. There was Kohler. Kohler was another company. Trying to remember all the different companies. I mean, it doesn't matter. Everyone knows they have private jets. Their jets come in these places. Okay, so the point is that The opportunities when I was working for Westar Aviation to work on Taylor Swift's jet were not available to me. Okay, Taylor Swift's not coming to me, not only because Taylor Swift doesn't have anything to do with that, but her team, right? The people that the economy of the jet, which I call it, none of those people are coming to me as the worker on that jet working for Westar Aviation. But if I also work on jets outside of my regular job, there is an opportunity for somebody else like a Taylor Swift or anybody to come work for me. You have these opportunities, and this is the thing that people don't get about starting your own company. They just don't. They think that, I love making t-shirts. Okay, well, how many years have you made t-shirts? 1. Okay, good. Talk to me when you've done it for 10 years, doing it for somebody and then somebody else, right? And this is how it all works. And again, I just, that's why I laugh at these freaking, I'm not going to go into it. I don't know if that answers your question. I hope it answers your question. This is how you are able to start a company as a normie, a normal person. You didn't make your contacts at Harvard or Yale. None of that stuff. You didn't have rich parents that financed your dreams, right? None of that stuff, okay? It takes time. And again, the secret is doing what you do after work at your regular job. That's the secret. I can't say it enough to people. It's the hardest thing for people to understand because nobody thinks it's possible. And I'm here to tell you, I did it every fucking day of my life. Every day. So anyway, I'm going to get off the stream. I've had enough for today. I need to go back to work. Dakota, I hope that answers your question. I know it's probably not what you want to hear. But anyway, everyone have a great day and a good weekend.